Welcome to the show. Picture this. Serious incident. Everyone's rattled. Supervisor says, well, looks like operator error. And somehow the investigation is half written before anyone's even put boots on the ground. That, right there, is how a lot of bad investigations go crook. Not because people are lazy, not because they don't care, usually the opposite. People work hard, they gather a few statements, they fill out forms, they sit in meetings, they burn hours. But they lock onto the first tidy explanation and then spend the rest of the investigation trying to decorate it. And the all-time favorite lazy headline? Operator error. Beautiful little phrase, isn't it? Fits neatly in a box, makes everyone feel efficient. Blame the person at the sharp end, send out a reminder email, maybe slap a bit more training on it, and off we go. Except that phrase tells you almost nothing. It's not an explanation, it's a shrug in a high-vis vest. The old safety-wise material says it plainly in a few different ways. A good investigator uses information validated as fact, refrains from premature conclusions, and looks beyond the obvious. The objective is to establish the facts, identify contributing factors and latent conditions, review the adequacy of controls, and recommend actions to prevent recurrence. Not apportion blame. That bit matters. Because once you decide the story too early, your questions change. You stop asking, what happened, and start asking, how do I prove what I already reckon? Different game entirely. Witnesses get funneled, scene evidence gets ignored, contradictions become inconvenient instead of useful, and before long, your report is polished rubbish. I've seen this play out with vehicle events, plant interactions, maintenance failures, you name it. Someone says, the driver was speeding, or the fitter took a shortcut, or the worker didn't follow procedure. Maybe they did. But the next question is always the one that separates an investigator from a novelist. If that's true, what evidence proves it? And what sat behind it? Take the material from the training guides. Human error is common across mining, rail, aviation, healthcare, all of it. But concluding human error was the cause does not assist in preventing future occurrences. That line should be tattooed on a few foreheads. A slip, lapse, mistake, or violation might be in the chain, sure, but ICAM exists because incidents are multivariate. Multiple contributing factors, latent conditions, failed or absent defenses, organizational factors, not one mugger in the alley acting alone. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Assumptions feel efficient. Evidence feels slow. Assumptions give you relief. Evidence gives you discipline. Assumptions let leaders say, sorted. Evidence sometimes says, actually, your planning was rubbish. Your supervision was thin, your procedure was out of date, and your controls had holes in them big enough to drive a road train through. Funny how that's less popular. So the central tension in any decent investigation is simple. Do you want a fast answer or an honest one? Because evidence beats assumptions every time, even when the evidence is politically inconvenient, and even when it ruins your neat little theory. So what does evidence actually look like in the real world? It's not just one witness with confidence and a dramatic pointing finger. Confidence is not evidence. Confidence is often just theatre with steel caps on. The structured way to keep yourself straight is PEEPO. People, environment, equipment, procedures, organisation. That's the 5-category data-gathering roadmap SafetyWise uses all through the guides and courses. In Mark 1, you brainstorm what sources you need. In Mark 2, you go gather it, cross-check it, and separate contributing from non-contributing facts. Facts, not vibes, not hunches. Facts, backed by evidence. People means witnesses, involved workers, supervisors, training records, fatigue, communication, supervision, teamwork, work as done versus work as intended. Environment means weather, lighting, noise, contaminants, surfaces, visibility, all the stuff that can shape performance. Equipment means design, condition, maintenance, testing, modifications, labels, whether the gear was fit for purpose. Procedures means what was available, what was current, what was actually used, and whether it was suitable. Organisation means leadership, planning, resources, contractor management, feedback systems, previous incident history, culture, learning. Now here's the critical distinction: facts versus interpretations. The witness said the driver was flying. Interpretation. IVMS data showed 98 kilometers an hour in an 80 zone. Fact. He ignored the procedure. Interpretation. Until you've reviewed the current procedure, checked whether it was available, validated, understood, and whether conditions had changed. There should have been a barrier. Maybe. There was no clearly marked exclusion zone or physical barrier between mobile plant and workers on foot. That's a factual finding if your seen evidence and documents back it up. The witness interviewing the material is blunt about memory too. Human memory is fallible and malleable, not reliably perfect. Accuracy gets distorted by event duration, proximity, stress, trauma, elapsed time, collaboration, rationalization, even the interviewer's skill and location. So if you've got one loud witness who says, "I know exactly what happened," terrific. You still don't marry them on the spot. You start broad. Free recall. Tell me in your own words whatever you can remember. Then open questions. Then active listening. Then paraphrasing. Closed questions later for detail. Leading questions used with caution. Loaded questions, bin them. If you ask, "Don't you agree the procedure was inadequate?" Congratulations, you're no longer interviewing, you're auditioning for your own bias. I got reminded of this years ago on a plant job. One witness was adamant the worker just wasn't paying attention. Very certain, very loud. If I'd taken that at face value, we'd have wrapped it up before smoko. But the scene told a different story. Lighting was poor, communication between the work group and operator was ordinary. The procedure existed but didn't match the task as it was actually being done. And the barrier everyone assumed was there, wasn't. Missing defense, different story. Same incident, better learning. That's the seduction investigators need to watch. The loudest witness, the neatest theory, the most socially convenient explanation. A tidy theory is very attractive because it reduces the mess, but incidents are messy. PEEPO stops you from falling in love with one lane too early. It makes you ask across all 5 categories, and it forces you to see the system, not just the bloke nearest the bang. And this is where discipline saves you from yourself. Not brilliance, not charisma, discipline. The guides put it in simple terms. Gather, organize, analyze, learn. Goal. If you skip the discipline bits, your brain fills the gaps with assumptions. Human brains hate a vacuum. They'll make up certainty faster than a dodgy contractor makes up an excuse. The timeline is one of the best anti-BS tools you've got. Build the event sequence from pre-incident, incident, post-incident. Put dates and times in where you can. The point is not artwork. The point is logic. A timeline helps resolve conflicting information, identify missing data, and show where control was first lost. If 2 witness accounts can't both fit the sequence, good. Now you know something needs checking. Then cross-check your PEEPO Mark 1 against what you actually gathered. Did you review the documents you said mattered? Did you inspect the equipment? Did you visit the scene before it was contaminated by weather, people, or cleanup? Did you interview witnesses as soon as practical? Did you test the neat theory against the ugly facts? Or did you just collect enough to make the story look respectable? And I love this follow-up question from the workbooks because it's simple and merciless. If not, why not? Procedure not followed. If not, why not? Risk assessment not completed. If not, why not? Spotter not used. If not, why not? Training not effective. If not, why not? That question drags the investigation down to control points. It stops you camping at symptoms. That matters most when you get to recommendations. Recommendations built on blame are flimsy as hell. Retrain the worker. Remind staff to comply. Tell supervisors to supervise. Thanks, genius. If your evidence showed absent or failed defenses and organizational factors, then your recommendations should address those. The material is clear. Corrective actions should target the organizational factors and defenses. Be smarter, specific, measurable, accountable, reasonable, timely, effective, reviewed. And use the hierarchy of controls, not just soft admin fluff if a stronger control is available. That's why evidence-based recommendations tend to stick. They're anchored to something observable. A missing journey management plan. A non-standard induction loop placement. No formal training program. No risk assessment conducted. No exclusion zone. Poor contractor management. Inadequate document control. Those are fixable system issues. Blame, on the other hand, gives you a false finish line. Feels satisfying. Solves bugger all. So if you're doing investigations, here's the reframe I want you to sit with. A good investigator is not the one with the fastest answer. It's the one with enough integrity to stay uncertain until the facts earn the conclusion. That takes control of emotion, critical thinking, persistence, and a willingness to annoy people who wanted the easy version. Because in the end, the question isn't whether your report sounds confident. The question is whether it tells the truth well enough to stop the next incident. If the evidence hasn't earned your conclusion yet, you're not finished. Thanks for listening.